Rights, Respect and Responsibility framework lies at the heart of children's rights education in Hampshire. Schools and teachers in Hampshire are using R&R as a framework for a whole school ethos and for teaching and learning. Hampshire Archives and Local Studies was approached by Newlands Primary School in Yateley to help with their research into freedom and suffering as part of their school's R&R programme. We were, of course, delighted to help, and this DVD is a record of their visit. We began with a visit to our cinema where the group viewed some archive film footage.
Document again being in
The next stop was conservation, where conservator Martin Bray explained his work.
It's rotted away, and what we can do, we can repair them, bring them back as new as we can by filling in with the Japanese papers and the tissues. That is what we call a reverse calf skin. It's an ordinary piece of leather, except where you normally see the shiny sides. Where people wanted to save money in the past, they would turn it over and you use the inside of the skin, so it's got this suede feel to it. Again, it's just a picture of one of this page as it was when it came to me, and it's been repaired. A new cover put on. We keep all the old covers and bits and pieces, and that's all what's left of the old one. Wax seals. This one's been attached to the document. It's been what was left of the seal has been cleaned up, and then new wax has been put on around it. Wax comes to us in a block. It's just melted down, and a little bit is dripped onto the edge, and slowly you build it up.
The group then saw where we stored the archives in one of our 3 strong rooms. Roughly about 150 years old, and that one is probably about 100 years old. And as you can see, they've been put into frames. This document dates back to 1349, so that's back in the 14th century, in the Middle Ages, and it came from Mottisfont Priory, which is not far from Winchester, and this is what they call a rental. So it's actually just a record of all the lands that the Priory owned and who was leasing the land. But if you look very carefully, what can you see?
You can see a rabbit there.
Yeah, and there's a dog chasing the rabbit as well.
Is it all the way through? Are the pictures all the way through the book?
They're not all the way through. There are 1 or 2 that are just, well, plain. They've got a little bit of colouring. We've got 1 or 2 others on. What they had to do, this is parchment, so they had to literally prick holes in the parchment then, and then you can see they've drawn across their lines. City of Winchester. A selection of documents and museum objects on the theme of freedom and suffering was set out in the education workroom for pupils to investigate. In your school, do you have any rules, regulations? Yeah. What sort of rules do you have?
Don't swing in your chair.
Right, that's a good one.
Don't run in the corridor.
Yeah, excellent. So it's all about being respectful, isn't it? Well, we've got a copy here of 2 sets of rules for schools in the Victorian period. And the rules were things like being kept clean, having short hair, turning up on time, not being naughty in the playground, listening to what the teacher had to say, respecting the adults. And you can see for yourself on the bottom as well, there, that they've got to go direct to and from the school, so no loitering in between. We have some punishment books for schools. What sort of punishments do you have if you're naughty at school?
No football.
No football. Yeah, that's a tough one, that, isn't it? Any others?
If you do a particular thing, you might be sent out from the classroom.
Right, and you would have to stand outside. Yeah. Well, this one goes back to about 1900, this particular one for this school. And you can see, you'll have a chance to come around and see, but you can, it's got the name of the person, it's got their age, so we've got, what's the youngest one there? 7. So we've got things like truancy, which means not going to school, of course. Disobedience. What else? We've got throwing stones. And you can see what punishment they were given. And back then, they would use a cane. And they would actually hit them across the hands with a cane. So if you want to transform yourself back to Victorian times, just put yourself in a position of one of those children who've been naughty, whack on the hand, that would really hurt, wouldn't it? Yeah.
My dad got hit once.
I know what that is. So, what were the pupils' responses to what they had seen?
Over there, there's the book of rules. Yeah. And at school, we have our school rules, don't we? So it kind of relates to what the school rules were in the old times and what they are now, because they're a lot different now. Because in the old times, if someone was bad, they would whip them.
The life like back then, like the Victorian lives, they seem like far more strict.
Well, it's probably easier in school now. You don't get like whacked or things like that, which is quite horrible. They use rulers for making straight lines rather than hurting you nowadays.
Rules were different, and they were like you have to have a short haircut, and at school now you can have like whatever hairstyle you want.
Your responsibility is to try hard in your work and respect everybody.